we're here for the not so small moment that can change your life, you know. And actually, it's an example of someone using part of 40T, you know, just the other day. So it's my nephew, Ben, right? So comes here in the morning, Monday morning, comes in the back door like he normally does, but he's acting a bit weird. Like he's just not quite right, you know, and he's like not really looking, not really connecting, you know, it's just something's obviously going on with him. So I just asked him what's going on. He said he'd just taken his bike in, like his bicycle, to get fixed, and the guide said it'd be 7 or 8 days. Now we've had quite a few problems where his bike's been crap, and we had to fail on certain bike rides, right, where he just couldn't do it because his bike's been rubbish. So there's that going on. Then on Sunday we're going to go for a bike ride again. Won't be able to, right, 7 or 8 days from now. And so I imagine there was some of that going on, plus the fact that he had to sort of say that as well. You know, there's all this discomfort within himself. But so he said, so after saying that, I was like, oh, okay, man. I was like, so did you ask if you could do it quicker? And silence for a little while, and just this like wriggling, you know, in the seat, not wanting to look at me. And he's like, no, I didn't. I'm like, oh, okay, man. Like, why not? And then he says, well, then he got into, well, you know, because it's quite a complicated problem, and you know, he's got lots to do. He's got lots of other bikes as well. He says 7 days, maybe 8, you know, at a push. So the way it was shared, from probably stressfully shared with him, he took on that stress from him and didn't want to, or just maybe got triggered, of course, and wasn't able to just ask a basic question, you know. And so I was like, okay, man. I mean, I strongly recommend you ask. Got on with my day. Saw him later. I know he'd been through a whole process, really, like getting himself to the point of being able to make that phone call. It was not an easy thing for him. It was like he was meeting a lot within that. Got on the call, said to them, and ended up saying, can I pay extra for quicker? And they said, yes, 25 quid. And he's like, okay, great. And it was done. That was it. And he was very happy. He was like, afterwards, like when he spoke to me, whereas he was kind of half here and half not, he was like here and had strength. And it was like, oh, there you are, Ben. That's the guy I know. And that is normally here. Very different, right? So he had that experience. And then later that evening, he was running his online workshop he does every 2 weeks for his thing of I hope you never fit in. And at the end, he invited them to this new group adventure that he's got going on. He shared out what it was. He says, look, if you're interested in finding out more, stick your thumbs up. And people did. But there was one guy there. He's like, he wasn't sure if he put his thumbs up or not. And he didn't ask him at the time. They just ended the call, went off. And it was sitting uneasy with him. You know, he's like, he was there and he's just going over in his mind, like, should I, shouldn't I? But what if, you know, and all this like wrestle going on. And then he just stops, feels, and then sends the message. Gets a reply not that long after. Yeah, man, definitely. And so, you know, and what Ben said was afterwards, like, he would never have done that before. If he hadn't have made that phone call in the morning, phoning about a bike and just asking, can you do it a bit quicker, right? Which can seem very simple. If he hadn't have done that, he wouldn't have done this. And of course, the ramifications for that, for his life, for his business, right? He's a coach who wants more clients and wants to help more people. And the ramifications just who he shows up as, you know, every single day. You know, like, and when we think about it, right, on the surface, those are just two very simple questions, aren't they? And yet for Ben, they were anything but.
Man, we're going to have fun with this. So before I get cracking on this, and this is cool, I'm really looking forward to talking about this. Is there anyone with us here? Like, it's always good if you're there with us, shoot a comment, because it's always nice to see a name, see some things pop up. You know, then we know there's human beings, and things get a little bit bigger within us because we're really connecting. So yeah, if you're there, say hi, guys. That'd be nice.
Yeah, please do.
Right, okay. So first of all, the first thing with that we want to talk about is, you know, he was being haunted, right? By you know, you said he wasn't fully here; he was only half here. Well, he's being haunted by a lack of expression, because we get hung up on the external, like, oh, we need to set a boundary, or we need to do this, or we need to do that. And fundamentally, it's actually about what we're internally, because the outcome doesn't matter as much as what we're actually doing here. It doesn't matter. You know, for example, you ask, he says no. You will feel better if you're fully expressed in that moment. You'll feel better if you get a no than if you don't ask the question. And that's crucially important, because we're day to day wandering around not being fully expressed. And if we're not being expressed, we are suppressing, right? And sorry, man, Emily's messaging me. I don't know how many times, what language I have to say this in. Like, give me one moment, man. One moment. I really apologize. One moment. This happened. You remember last time? Bing, 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 bing.
Oh, yeah.
Do not message me, please. There we go. I'm going to get one more message done. Okay, Dad. Okay. So, yes, being fully expressed in these moments, crucially important, because otherwise we're wandering around being haunted by this active suppression we're engaging with internally. This is I had a conversation with a client, and he was talking about how things come up at work, and and he doesn't even bother now writing the email, and like just exploring the possibility of something getting done about something that that's a problem. He doesn't bother because nothing's ever getting done. Okay. And I said, okay, that's going to drive you. It's going to drive you more nuts not to send the email than it is sending the email and nothing happening. And the reason is you're now compounding that things aren't happening the way I think they should happen with, I'm not expressing the things I think I should express. So it's like, forget the outcome here. Make sure fundamentally you are being fully expressed. Okay. Send the email. Things got a lot better after that. It's like a nose to spite our face thing. It's like, it's like, to hell with them. I'm now going to drive myself nuts.
And just feel awful and every time this happens, I'm going to feel awful again.
Awful again, yeah. And just keep suppressing it.
I like what you said there, though. You said active suppression, which I think is important.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily recognized that it's an active process.
Yes, and it is an active process of suppression. And again, it's spectrum and degrees. You've got expression, you've got suppression, and you've got the journey between, and you want to get to fully expressed. And the more you're not, the more you enter into suppression. And people don't always appreciate what suppression is, because sometimes reacting in the same way you always do is a suppression. It's a suppression of the newness that can emerge when you're not doing that. So it's a suppression into your existing patterns. You want to be able to enter into a high quality of expression, so something new and emergent can arrive, a transcendence into transformation. So that's the big difference when we talk about the feeling into process. Because people might say, oh, if I stop and feel rather than say that thing and do that thing like that, then aren't I suppressing? It's no, because you're actively expressing the emotion through an internal process. If you're just reactively expressing, you're actually actively suppressing.
Yeah.
You're suppressing the potential of something new by just reacting to the same pattern. What you're doing is you're affirming the same pattern, the same activity. That's an active act of suppression. Okay. Nothing's going to change. So, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to expression versus suppression. But let's come back to, more with this example, holding yourself back from saying that thing, right? Now, it's not, the thing is, you don't ever just hold yourself back in one place. That's not how we work neurophysiologically. We generalize. So it's like you hold yourself back here, you end up holding yourself back over here. Like we've said many times, if you stop yourself, you avoid feeling bad, what you do is then you condition yourself not to feel as good as you can, because you're limiting your emotional experience over here. All that will generalize out and it'll come over here. And the experience that we have when we do meaningful deep work is you start engaging with those bad feelings, those things that you've historically avoided. And what it seems to do is open up the horizons of your joy and your happiness in ways that just weren't there before, because you're transmuting and reconditioning yourself to be able to express, be able to feel more, feel deeper. And it goes over here into these things you definitely want to feel more, and it's another example of that. It's like, okay, you're holding yourself back here, you're avoiding this conflict, or you hold yourself back here too, and maybe avoid that connection. I mean, for one thing, you are, in avoiding conflict, you're avoiding connection, literally in this moment, because if you engage with the conflict or potential conflict, it can lead to the resolution that you want, which comes connection.
Yeah.
But not just here. If you're holding yourself back here in this place and conditioning yourself to hold yourself back here, you will hold yourself back over here in other moments that you really want to connect with, people and things that you love. And that's a perfect example. You said he wasn't quite here, right? He was disconnected here, holding himself back, disconnected here, holding himself back. He was half with you. Yet as soon as he entered into no longer holding himself back, entering into expression, connecting, and of course the best way to resolve conflict is to connect, right? So you are actually connecting over here. You want more connection in your life? Well, you've got to have it over here with the potential conflict, with the uncomfortable. Because if you limit it here, you're going to limit it there. You hold yourself back here, you'll hold yourself back there. The moment he had that phone call and he expressed and connected, suddenly he's back in the room. Right? So how important is that? And like I say, these seemingly small moments just happen to create the fabric of your whole experience of life.
Well, actually, this links to the private message I had for someone who watched our last live. And on that, there was one part of that where you talked about going one step beyond with people, to do with the guy with the cone, with the car. And you gave another example of where you went beyond the reasonable, right? To be able to you wanted to make sure that person felt good, giving them a fist bump, just going that extra step beyond. And so he'd had an experience where he'd been on the phone with some company, been in this argument because they wouldn't give him what he wanted. So he ended up arguing, hanging up the phone, felt terrible, watched our live. And then he thought about his experience there, thought about what had happened, and then phoned back and apologized. And, again, seeking to connect, right, through that conflict that he'd experienced. And his entire experience changed, obviously, as a result of that. And of course, he, learned something deep that he can carry with him.
This is when, we have the expression I love, which is the one step beyond, right? It's just a simple way to live. You just go that one step beyond, whether it's into discomfort or into something connected. You go that one step beyond and it changes everything. People think changing your life, immeasurably is something so complicated. It's not actually. It's one step beyond in this moment and that moment and this moment. And you do that kind of regularly, and you do it more regularly day by day, and everything's different within a few days. Everything's very different within a few weeks. Everything's completely different in a few months, and your life will reflect back a completely different world for you within a year. And I had one today. Right? I don't know if you saw my post, right, about the guy with the shirt. So it's another thing. So it's
the amazing shirt.
The amazing shirt. So this is my normal way of being, because it's like, otherwise I'm holding myself back. These moments are always there. The moments of that bit of extra kindness, that moment of a bit of extra consideration, that moment of bit of extra presence and time. And I'm actually I'm picking Emily up, and she was with her mum too. And I was driving to the beach, and I was picking them up. And as we're kind of coasting along, the road by the beach where everyone moves kind of slowly, I just see my windows open, and to the right of me, there's this guy with this amazing shirt. And as I said in my post, however amazing you might imagine it to be, it is way more amazing than that. So it was lost in description, right? But it was a white shirt, and it looked like all this paint had been poured down the kind of top, the shoulders. So you had this blues and yellows and greens trailing down, right? Really bright. It was just amazing. Not a t-shirt, a shirt. And it was all, I omitted this fact from the post. He was wearing a cowboy hat kind of thing. The guy looked awesome. So anyway, in that moment, instantaneously, I see him and I stop completely. I say, excuse me, man. And he looks over and I say, your shirt is absolutely awesome. Well done. He's like, oh, thanks, man. I really like it. And I'm like, seriously, dude, you look so cool. Have an ace day." And I give him a thumbs up. "Oh, thanks so much, man." And wave me on. And as I start driving off, Emily in the back just goes, "Dad, never do that again." But I said, I can't help it, honey. That's just the way I feel. I can't,
Yeah.
But that moment's the same as the day before when I was with Emily and we went to town and something it's cool. She's getting older and she's noticing, like in that moment, she never said anything historically, right? Even though it's negative, but it's fine. But she's noticing there's a different way that I do things, and we're having conversations about it. It's just been normal for her all her life, right? But the other week she I bought a sandwich and probably a drink for someone that was homeless outside the co-op. And as I come along, I go, "Hey man, this was the last cheese and onion," and he's like, "Oh great man, thank you." And I go, and Emily goes, she goes, "That is really weird that you know what sandwich he likes." And because she was with me the whole time, she knows I didn't go up and ask him. I already knew what sandwich that guy likes because I bought him so many. And just a beautiful, ordinary moment. And we went into town yesterday, and there was a guy I haven't met. And "Hey man, can I get you a sandwich? Can I get you a drink?" And he's like, "Oh, thanks so much." His name was Kenny, and went and did that. And a conversation opens up with Emily, and I say, "Look, the reason I do that, right now we're going shopping, me and you, and I'm buying shit that I don't need. I'm buying shit I want. And my way of looking at this is, if I can buy stuff I want, then I can help that guy get some of what he needs." And so that's why every time I go shopping, I do that. And it was cool to have that conversation, because that's another example. I could just go fucking shopping. I could just go and buy myself those chinos. They were cool. They were not good chinos. I could buy Emily what I bought her. I could just do that. But that one step beyond is like, it's connecting to something deeper than going and buying myself some trousers that I don't need. And that's that idea that, okay, if I can do this that I want, well, I can help this that is needed over here. And more than that, of course, I don't just dump the stuff on him. I take a moment to, have a connection, have a conversation, man. And which is why I remember his name. This guy's name's Kenny, and I'll see him again, and it'll be Kenny, and that's cool, man. And now I know he likes cheese and onion sandwiches too. I do try and navigate to those, because of being vegetarian, I don't like to buy the meat ones, but I would. But he likes cheese and onion sandwiches too. But the other guy, it was his favourite one. So, and that's that. And it's just, everyone. It's not complicated to live a richer life. It's not complicated to get the life you want, feel the way you want to feel, and actually live with self-worth and enthusiasm and energy. It's not complicated. It's here every single day. It's through some form of connection. And when you connect with others, you connect with yourself, you connect with the moment. If you connect with yourself, you connect with others, you connect with the moment. If you connect with the moment, you connect with yourself, you connect with others. It's everywhere. Just enter wherever it is. I find connecting with people is the easiest way, and they're everywhere.
People are everywhere.
Like these walking connection portals. They're just walking around the place as an open invitation, and I can't tell you how many times I speak to people, and it's always lovely and nice, always, even when it's not. And that's the thing that's different. Even when it's not, it's actually very easy to transform a hostile, difficult situation, usually in the car, right? They don't happen just walking around too much, but suddenly in the car they do. It's easy. It's really easy. What do we do? If we're present enough to it, it's like, what do I fucking want out of this? What's the best scenario here? Is it for me to get an argument with someone, or for me to alchemize this shit for myself first, then for us here, then for him, and to perhaps provide an experience which then leads to change behavior there that ripples outwards? Not always possible. Some people are just assholes. I'm always open to that. Believe me, I'm always open. Person might just be an arsehole. But it doesn't mean you have to be from the off, you know. Why not be fucking awesome? Why not be fucking awesome? See what awesomeness does. It usually does awesome stuff.
Awesome does tend to do awesome stuff.
Awesome, yeah. Awesome, man. You know, and it's enriching, uplifting. It changes your world. Like, and you can do it tomorrow. You can do it now. Like that guy did, ringing up. You know, you don't have to do that. You've had a difficult situation, and the customer service hasn't been good or whatever. You don't have to ring back and apologize for the way you were. But doing that's amazing. Taking responsibility for what's yours. You don't take what's theirs, and what's theirs might be 95%, but you can still take your 5. It might be 99. You can still take your 1. And you take your 100%. You know, don't take your 1%. That's the mistake people make, right? And don't wait for others to take their 90%, their 95, their 99. You'll be waiting forever. Take yours. Then they might take theirs. Then they're worth perhaps sticking around. You take yours, they don't take theirs. Maybe they're not worth keeping around. Okay. Well, you know, just do it. It feels better for you. Again, it's a form of expression, you know, because if you're not owning yourself or what you got wrong or could do better, that's a form of suppression. However, if you are owning it and you're then going, right, actually, I should have done this better, or I apologize for this. Now you're fully expressed. Now you're being more who you actually are. And that feels great. Now, you might not get back anything like what you're giving. And that sucks on a personal level. But it's better than you not giving what you should be giving, you not expressing what you should be expressing, you holding yourself back from being as awesome as you can be. Right?
Yeah.
Other people reciprocating is a fucking bonus. Right? It's a bonus.
Yeah, of course, because you're experiencing when you give, you're feeling, you're experiencing giving, right? So that feels amazing.
Dude, exactly. When you're expressing love, who's feeling the love? Right? Now, maybe they receive the expression of love and what they feel is something loving. Maybe. But primarily, if you're acting from love and you're engaging in a loving act, who is it that's actually feeling that love? Well, it's you. You are, you know? And maybe it's received. Maybe, hopefully. Maybe it's reciprocated. Maybe, hopefully. But first and foremost, it's you that's being a loving human being and filling your inner world with love. You want to have more love in your life, be more loving. Right? And yeah, if it's not reciprocated, you might need to move that elsewhere, maybe. Usually, if we're talking about relationships, there's usually just misunderstandings that's getting in the way of people reciprocating love. And almost always, if you engage in communication, connection, not holding back, then you can actually get to the roots of those misunderstandings. You know, if you're willing to, and then surprising, beautiful things can happen if both people are willing to do that.
Yeah, and if not, you've been fully expressed, and you're clear in that when you realise it can't go further, and then you take that version of yourself that's been fully expressed up to the maximum you could be, and you've got that for the next relationship and every other relationship in your life.
That is it. I've done both things, and the latter is preferable. You know, I've not fully expressed relationships at critical points. They may have ended, and you're haunted by that. But when you're fully expressed, you know, I've had critical points and fully expressed, and they've continued. Beautiful things have happened in that period of time. I've had the end of relationships I've fully expressed and they've not continued. There's so much peace that comes. As hard as it might be that the relationship ends, but there's an awful lot of peace with knowing that you didn't hold back. You know, people struggle with that, especially if you're expressing things that make you vulnerable, because your ego gets in the way. That's an aspect of your psyche that's trying to keep you safe, but it gets a lot of things wrong because it can, through the fear dynamics, keep you from expressing and keep you suppressed. You know, so You've got to break through that. One of the things to break through your ego, as you know, is to be is to dance on the underground in front of people and film it and share the films, right? Do these things that makes the ego wither and die. You know, I don't mean that literally, but to retrain the ego to go, look, it doesn't matter if people judge us. It doesn't matter if we look silly. Get over yourself. That doesn't matter. You know, you're policing yourself in accordance with other people's judgment all the time. You're living in a prison, and you're doing it. It's just like
because it's not even their judgments, because you've got no idea what they are. It's your own perception of what their judgments might be.
Of what they just It's crazy, man. So it's like you got to retrain your ego.
Yeah,
Ego's good, but you got to retrain it so it's actually living in alignment with your soul, and that means exposing yourself to potential judgment and going, oh, that'd be just okay because I want to expand myself. I want to live a bigger life and be a bigger person. You know, and you know, if that means taking a risk on expressing myself more fully and being vulnerable, then cool, do that. You know, don't, man, the hell, it's a hell that's created that leads to like a cyclical experience of life in all your relationships if you don't do that. You know, and in every area of life, not just relationally. But every like professionally, like opportunities, you're going to hold yourself back here. You're not going to be able to meet that opportunity when it comes. You're going to be able to recognize it as an opportunity.
you won't even see it. Yeah.
You won't be able to see it because of how you've conditioned yourself to hold yourself back and limit yourself. You won't even see it. You know, so in situations like that, like, you know, we've said before, I mean, for me, I mean, it's not even in my reality that I wouldn't say to that person, that's a long time. Can you do it like tomorrow? You know, because
Exactly.
I get to ask and he gets to say no. It's a perfect system. Like nobody gets hurt here. It's all fine.
Exactly.
And if you hold that space where everything's fine, it's like, can you do it any quicker? Usually people just meet you there. But maybe when you first start, it's uncomfortable and you're a bit shaky. Could you, I don't know, maybe if I say it this way, could you just...
maybe if I just keep talking long enough, you'll hear something and just say yes.
You don't just turn into Lee Evans while asking this question. Maybe they'll then get uncomfortable themselves, go, no, I definitely can't. This is a fucking weird conversation. But, you know, you've got to start. It's better to fumble and, you know, look awkward in front of the stranger you'll most likely never see again, in order to expand and be able to be more fully expressed and be able to ask these questions than it is not. Like, here's another example, man. We had this, we had it just recently, but we had a historic one too, when Emily, there's been twice that Emily's need to go to hospital. And one of the occasions she had a serious infection in her eye. It's called periorbital cellulitis. And it's very serious infection. Like when you know what that infection is, it's nasty. And you can potentially lose your sight. It can kill you if it's not treated, right? And it becomes very problematic if the eyeball itself starts to swell. Now, her eyeball was swollen, definitely. Very slightly, but you could tell it was. And this one doctor caught it. So the treatment had just started. She'd been through hell, you know, with it. She'd been all these antibiotics. And then we come to this specialist. And we've already seen a bunch, and they haven't caught the fact that the eye is swollen. I have, but they haven't noticed it yet. And this one guy goes, I think the eye's a bit swollen here, actually. I think we need to send her for a scan. Now, if they do that and the eye is swollen at that stage, they will then want to operate, which means removing the eye and then draining what's behind, right? And I know this because I've looked into what's going on. As soon as I knew what was going on, I informed myself. She's had a horrible 48 hours with this already. She's just received her medication, you know, when she's been diagnosed correctly. So in that moment, what happens most of the time, what would happen with her mum, we were there together, is that it's like, okay, and you're going on for that scan. But this is me. Okay. She's been through an awful lot already, the last 48 hours and today. She's only just received the antibiotics. We're meant to be coming back here in 48 hours anyway. Would we be able to wait and have the scan then if you still see the swelling in the eye? To which his mate goes, well, yes, we could do that. I mean, all I can say is that, it would be precautionary to have the scan now. And I say, okay, I appreciate it. But is she in any immediate danger right now? Can we wait? And he said, yes, if that's the decision you want to make, then yes, we can do it like that. And it was a funny moment because, no, I won't say that actually. But there was a moment, sorry. Her mum expressed the depth of that moment, right? Because of who I was being, because most people just listen to the doctor and go on. But it's like, look, I'm able to just ask the question here. I get to ask, he gets to say no. I get to find out, I get clearer. I don't have to just go along where I'm being led. And because of that, we went away, her eye swelling went down. And by the time we got there, there was no need for a scan. She'd have had the scan that day, she'd have had surgery. And that would have been, 9-year-old girl, never had any medical intervention, would have been a difficult thing. We had it just the other day too, where she broke her finger, snapped it, was pointing in the wrong direction. And again, it's a matter of the doctor, when I was called in and we were waiting for many hours, I was called in and I was given the SP on this, or it looks like it might have to be surgery on this because the break is so severe and the awkwardness of relocating it where it should be and things like that. And I said, okay, well, what are the options? This. And he said, well, the specialists, when they come through, they'll decide whether she'll have a general or a local and this kind of thing. And I immediately stopped him and I said, we will decide. And he says, yes, of course. Now, what happened from there, David, is when the specialists came, there were two of them and they came straight to me and were extraordinary in how they explained everything to me and made it all on my terms, basically my decision. Because he went, right, this is someone who isn't going to let us just make the decision. They want to make decisions, just basically translating whatever that moment of, well, we'll make the decision together, Again, this is normal. This is normal, but this is where it, it's a bike or what? It was a bike shop, right? That's
bicycle,
what it's a bike shop here. It's my daughter's life here. It's my daughter's emotional and physical well-being here. Okay. So, and this is the thing, if you don't do it here, you may not have the muscles to do it here. And it's harder to do it, way, way harder to do it here if you haven't cultivated the ability to do it in all these smaller places. Start when the dragon is a baby. Start when it's in the egg and the egg's starting to crack. Don't wait until it's a fire-breathing adult. Seek out those smaller moments and just start to step forward in them in the ways we're talking about.
Yeah. They've got a lighter example of because Ben, one of the things he found challenging was complimenting people he didn't know, complimenting strangers, as he called it. And so part of one of his tasks that he set people in his group as well as himself was to compliment strangers. And he was like, that compliment one person on day 1, 2 on day 2, 3 on day 3, 4 on day 4, and 5 on day 5. And he says, on that, by the end of that, you'll meet the 16th stranger. And he's like, for all you math whizzes out there, that 16th stranger is you, right? Which is, I thought was quite beautiful that he did that, right? Now, he told me this, and I wrote a post about it. And on that post, someone in Australia who's come to my events when he lived in the UK, was messaging about it. And I invited the challenge for him to do that. And then he was messaging me about what his journey, right? So complimenting people was it. And he was doing that for 5 days, essentially, to do those 15. He said by the end of the 5th day, he actually asked a girl out. And he said he would never have done that before. Just someone like in a shop, just asked her out, So this seemingly random thing of just approaching anybody and saying something nice about them gave him the courage. I don't know if he needed courage in the moment or not. I'm not sure. He may not have. But it gave him the capacity or activated the capacity to just ask that very simple question for something he truly wanted. And of course, what could that lead to? Over the next few months, the next year, the next 10 years of being this, just expressing himself for things he wants and asking, what could that do for his entire life?
Yeah, man, it's like the complimenting thing, like the guy with the awesome shirt. it just feels so good. And I do it. The one flip side is that I'm aware that I may often come across gay, but that's fine. Especially when it's complimenting women's shoes and their lipstick. But, that's happened before. Like, especially because I find myself using the word fabulous too, right? I'm just like, I might as well just,
and you do love pink.
Might as well just, yeah. The other day, so on the complimentary thing, again, it's a holding back thing, man. It's a beautiful thing to be able to do. I go and collect some curry for Emily and me, and as I'm getting out the car, there's a woman walking with a parcel to this shop over here, and no, as I'm parking actually, and she goes there and she comes back, and as I get out of my car, and I just noticed her walking. I think she's really attractive. Now, to be clear, she's not my type, right? So she's not someone I'd hit on. Not that I ever hit on anyone anyway. But I just can see she's a very attractive woman, not someone that's my type. And I get out of the car and I go there, and she walks past me, and she's going that way with her parcel, and I'm going in here to the thing. And instantly I do some calculation, because I can think that if I say anything about how attractive she is, she might think I'm hitting on her. So I just say, excuse me, you're going that direction, I'm going in here. There's no agenda with this at all. I just wanted to let you know that you're really attractive. And then she goes, oh, thank you so much. Obviously really happy with that, and all smiles, and, and off she goes, and I go into and get the curry. And then I go, and it just feels great. Feels great. Why wouldn't you do that?
I think, the reason why a lot won't do it is because they don't have access to that kind of way of connecting and doing it. So what happened, because they haven't been doing it, when they do try and do it, they're doing that, whatever Lee Evans thing that you talked about, right? So it feels creepy or whatever it may be.
Yeah. Maybe don't start with that, right? But you've got to start. You've got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And start with the smallest place. That's, again, whenever I'm working with clients, it's always, we start with the smallest place. Right, okay, take me through your day. You're waking up. When's the first place that you procrastinate? When's the first place you hold yourself back? When's the first place that you get angry? Where is the first place? That's where you start. It's going to be the smallest place. And that's where you start. And that's where you start to step forward and use the compass, that I pass on in order to navigate our internal terrain as we're doing it, because that's really helpful. Have a feel first approach, and then know what to do with that. Now, engage, express. Everything changes, and everything changes really, really fast. And it's a new experience of life that's just there. All the same things: getting up, doing what you do, leaving the house, doing your job, going to the shops. It's all the same stuff, but there's this complete alternative reality you get to step into when you become more fully expressed, and you stop holding yourself back, and you start connecting in this way: yourself, life, people. It's an alternative reality. Amazing, rich experience of life just here, right on our doorstep, man, every single day.
Yeah, and that's, that what we've just shared can create that. And that is just one small part of 4DT, right, and 4DP and what they can do. That's the wonderful thing about it, And so do you want to share a little bit more about the 5 months actually while we're here?
Yeah, man, why not? And then we'll finish up, because so I can get back to my girl and get ready for bed. The 5 months. So it began in this way. I've come out of my coma, and I'm like, right. And there's all the clients and students that, I haven't been able to work with, and that weighs heavy. How can I start working in a way that's manageable for me as I build my health back? And then I come up with this idea. Okay, what if I get everybody together as a group 1 day a month, then I can do one coaching session with them too. That's really manageable for me. So that was the intention to begin with. And then I'm like, okay, what I get to do during those days? What if I teach the 4D life mastery during those days? If I teach the compass, then I get to get specific with applying the compass to goals through the coaching. That is an amazing dynamic. And if I do it over a period of time, we're applying it to a specific goal and I'm coaching them through that process, then by the end of it, they'll get closer to that goal or have accomplished that goal and know how to apply the compass, know how to use 4D life mastery in any area. Well, that's amazing. And because I'm getting everyone together as a group, this gets to be really good value. I get to price this, to put it out there. This is £360 a month, far lower than a normal coaching journey for you and I. And they get to come on these days and they get to get this personal coaching guidance. And it's over this period of time. Wow, what a dynamic. Then, of course, we're talking about all of the missing links that I'm filling in when it comes to 4D. Now I've got the external compass and the internal, the being and the doing. And I've made them compatible, creating the personal development theory of everything. So to ease all the contradictions, all the conflicts and the missing link, which keep people in the struggle and the cycle endlessly, because these things are missing, because people don't even acknowledge the difference between the rules between our being and our doing, our internal and external. They're different, but they're complementary. They're synergistic opposites. You understand them, you can leverage both in a way that creates meaningful, real transformation. But almost everyone out there is just everything pitched in absolute terms. And so people are trying to take truths for the external world of doing and apply it to their internal world of being and driving themselves nuts, and vice versa. So there it is, and it's a compass. And here's the amazing news. Your life's complicated, your problems are complicated, the way you feel about it's complicated. It's all this stuff to contend with in life. Okay, you've got 4 reference points, 4 places to leverage. 4. Whatever's happening, you're experiencing that through 4 dimensions. And if you understand the nature of each of those 4 dimensions, the nature of thought, the nature of emotion, body state, and the transcendent, if you understand those 4 states, the nature of them, and you know what to do with them, which is exactly what we're going to be training you to do, then guess what? You can contend with anything. And suddenly everything becomes, and that becomes your ground, man. Because of course people get overwhelmed. It's like, because they haven't got a ground. Well, I've got a ground. That's how I keep getting back to my feet and then walking forward really swift. And the ground is 4DT. You've got a ground. 4 things. It's 4 things you have to work with, because that's how you're experiencing life. So you know how to leverage each of those 4 dimensions, then you can deal and contend with, all of the things you need to in life, right?
Yeah.
Without that ground, without this compass, life is very difficult. But imagine having that. Imagine having a compass in your pocket you can just bring out for whatever's going on in life and to navigate it as best as you can, because you've got that compass. And the reason I use the compass metaphor instead of map, because a map's no fucking good for life. Life changing. Maps are for shit that doesn't change. Maps are for a terrain that doesn't move. That's again one of the things that's the problem. Everyone's giving people their maps. Well, great. It's just that map, your life. And that map, life changes and moves. What do I do? Well, you've got to create your own map for your life and how it changes and moves. To do that, you need a compass. So that's what we're giving. That's what we're providing. It's the compass with which you can navigate life and then map it yourself. That's the great gift. Then, of course, talking to you about all this, then the eureka moment came. David, do you want to join me on this for the days? You coach your guys, I'll coach mine, but for the days, be my companion. And while I'm mentoring, while I'm laying this out, we make it dynamic between us, where you are bringing your coaching skill to extract the clarity for yourself and for the room. And so they're going to be bringing their interaction, you're going to be bringing yours, and it's going to be this completely unique dynamic that we've never done anything like this before. And it's going to be bringing this incredible dynamic that we have when you are coaching me while I mentor you.
Yeah.
And what emerges is absolute gold. Yes, we then bring that to the forefront of our work later, but to be able to bring groups in to that live process.
Yeah.
Man, this is, and there's no 2 ways about this. Anybody that comes and joins us on this is going to be the greatest opportunity for transformation they have ever had. And if they use what we give, and of course, we're going to be with them along the journey in a coaching relationship, So there's nothing else that's going to happen other than them using what we give. The leaps forward that are going to be made between now and November, man, I cannot wait. Is that enough?
I think that's pretty good, man. Yeah, and of course, there's the group element, right? You've got the other individuals who are going through. They get it, the same understanding, the same compass, right? So that just the group, the shared group is just. I've always found that when I've run groups and I've been part of groups, it actually supports you in your life, right? Because everyone around you may not get what you're doing. Maybe other people aren't going to play ball just because you're doing it, right? But to have like the anchor of others who are actually on that path, I think that's incredibly valuable as well. And potentially they can become lifelong friends because you go through this journey together, right? That's much more likely because you meet in this place.
Yeah, everything. It's just, I'm so excited because this is going to be the deepest, best work we've ever done. It's going to be the heights that we've reached on retreats. That work we've done is immense, but combined with the long-term coaching to integrate what it is people are experiencing and what they're taking from what we're doing. So yeah, man, I can't wait. It's going to be magic.
Yeah, me too, man. And so if anyone's watching this and you feel the pull, message Rich, message me, and let's have a conversation about it. It starts on the 25th. So now's the time if you feel the pull.
Right on. Thanks, man. Thanks for this, and thanks anyone that was here with us, either now in the present or in the future.
It's weird, right?
Well, we've got hoverboards now.
It'll be us in the future too, because we'll be watching this back, right?
It's like weird how time works.
So actually, like if you are watching this, now or on the replay, actually, and something occurs to you, got a question or a comment, please comment about your experience, what's been happening for you, or even message us privately if you don't feel like doing it publicly. That we appreciate every engagement because it helps us know what's valuable and then what we can bring to more. So please do that. Again, it's what we've been talking about today, right? It is going one step beyond what you've gone before, and this would be a good demonstration of that, right? Yeah. So thank you for being here. Thank you, man. This has been great.
Bye on, brother. See you soon.
Okay. Take care for now.